Nia Wilson, an 18-year-old, was a rapper and cheerleader with dreams of owning her own dance studio in the future. However, on the night of July 22, 2018, those dreams were cut short. Along with her sisters, Latifah and Tasha Wilson, she was returning from a party at her aunt's house in Concord. They had taken the yellow line at the Concord station and planned to transfer at the MacArthur station to return home. The assailant, who had boarded the train at the same station, could be seen to be traveling on the same line as well, which is believed to have been following them. It was around 21:30 when, at MacArthur station, the attacker stabbed Nia and her older sister, Latifah, who survived the attack, while Tasha was not physically injured. The girl's father received a frantic call from his daughter Tasha, who repeated in anguish, "I couldn't, Daddy." That was all she said. At the time, he thought maybe they had gotten into some minor trouble with someone. But he didn't fully understand what was going on and wasn't sure how serious the situation was. He ran to his car and drove at full speed to the MacArthur BART station, knowing only that his daughters were in trouble. But what he found when he arrived was far worse than he imagined. She says she could never have anticipated what she saw. A scene filled with ambulances, police, Latifah being carried away critically injured, and the body of her daughter, Nia. It was impossible for her to comprehend what she was witnessing at that moment. The attacker managed to flee, but thanks to security cameras at the train station where the events occurred and eyewitness accounts of witnesses who saw him cleaning the knife and escaping after the attack, police were able to identify him the following day. John Cowell was fingered as the perpetrator and arrested Monday night while traveling on another train, after an anonymous tipster alerted authorities after recognizing him. It was discovered that John Cowell did not have a clean record. He had been paroled in May 2018 after serving a second-degree robbery conviction, and already had priors for possession of methamphetamine and assault. Most disturbingly, in 2015, Cowell's own family filed a restraining order against him after he attempted to violently enter their home while under the influence of drugs. That same year, he was arrested for substance possession and sentenced to 90 days in jail. His record includes multiple arrests for various offenses, which caused him to be in and out of jail repeatedly. In 2016, the background record credits Kaiser Richmond Medical Center with requesting a restraining order against Cowell after he threatened to kill one of its employees. Police Chief Carlos Rojas, who was in charge of the case, confirmed that Cowell had been released from prison 4 months prior to Nia's crime and was on parole at the time of the incident. Family, friends, and the community initially interpreted the attack as a racist act, prompting protests both at the MacArthur BART station and on social media. On the other hand, John Cowell's parents maintained that the attack may have been motivated by their son's mental health issues. However, authorities were unable to determine a clear and conclusive motive for the attack, and noted that there was no evidence to indicate that it was racially motivated. In addition, security cameras showed that there was no relationship between Cowell and Nia, as the women did not interact with him while riding the train. Police Chief Rojas added that it was the most vicious attack he had seen in his nearly 30-year career. The Nia Wilson case was one of the most brutal and inhumane crimes that can be committed. Cowell's capture was made possible in large part by a witness who identified him at the station and alerted police. In addition, footage captured by the train security cameras enabled authorities to act swiftly to apprehend him. On July 23, 2018, more than 1,000 protesters gathered for a vigil in honor of Nia Wilson, marching through the streets near MacArthur Station. They carried signs with her name on them and chanted, "No justice, no peace," as they voiced their demand for justice. On August the 2nd of that same year, a group of young activists gathered at Frank Ogawa Plaza to hold an event titled Youth Speak, Adults Listen. At this meeting, they addressed the sense of insecurity they experience in public spaces and how the death of Nia Wilson illustrates this fear. Her murder has sparked an international debate on racial violence. The case had acquired great media coverage, with several celebrities calling for justice and peace for Nia, while the country remained in expectation of a just verdict. The rejection of this murder was unanimous. Undoubtedly, the figure that generated the greatest impact in the media and social networks was the American actress Anne Hathaway. She was a black woman and she was murdered in cold blood by a white man, wrote Hathaway on her Instagram account next to a photo of Nia, who has more than 12 million followers at the time. White people, including me, including you, should be clear, to the marrow of our privileged bones, the truth that all black people fear for their lives daily in America and have done so for generations. Finally, on July 17, 2020, Cowell was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, bringing justice to his family and friends. At trial, he tries to make the point that he cannot control himself and does not know what he is doing, but the judge is not fooled by his ruling on the case. Cowell remained impassive during his testimony, showing no emotion and staring straight ahead. He testified that he acted in defense of his family, stating that he believed Wilson and his sisters were aliens who were about to harm his grandmother. His attorney argued that Cowell is mentally ill and suffers from delusions. Wilson's mother was present in the courtroom during the testimony, tears in her eyes as she waited in the lobby for the session to begin. Cowell's defense attorney began his cross-examination by asking him about his mental health history. Cowell testified that he had been diagnosed with schizophrenia, depression, and bipolar disorder. He described hearing alien voices, radio transmissions, and mentioned fake skin, which he said occurs when aliens perform surgeries on people, claiming that they are not recognized because they wear this fake skin. Latifah Wilson, who survived the attack despite suffering severe neck injuries, confessed to Cowell how difficult it was for her to forgive him for taking her younger sister's life. "You are inhuman. I can't forgive you for that, but I have to do it for the peace of my family," she said painfully. Tashia Wilson, who witnessed the attack, also expressed her suffering. "You took our baby from us," she told Cowell. "I will never be okay. Ever." She further confessed that she wished Cowell had received the death penalty. Outside the courthouse, Wilson's mother, Alicia Grayson, spoke to reporters and commented that she had seen some of the footage captured by security cameras, but could not bear to watch the video showing the fatal stabbing. "It was too much for me," she expressed in shock. A few years later, on January 5, 2023, a three-judge panel of California's first appellate district unanimously rejected Cowell's appeal against her life sentence. Nia's legacy will live on through music. She and her cousins were part of a group called Girls and the Hood. Their album Fake Shit was released after Nia's death. Although the group had plans to re-record the video, they did not release it until after her passing. Her family is trying to move on with their lives, and this murder sparked deep outrage in the United States and began a family and community's fight to not only bring the killer to justice, but also to ensure that Nia's life is never forgotten and to eradicate racism from society. If you like this story, subscribe and like it so you won't miss the next video. See you next case.